So since because I grew up in a small town, foundational education and everything, this is how we learn technology is very different in today's world. Kids have it very nice. They have laptops and iPads that they get to work on. And so as cyber, and I'm talking about like 2013, 2014 is when all this was happening, cyber was still up and coming. We are going into Hillary Clinton's campaign. That was a very big moment for cyber. We're also talking about different notable breaches like Home Depot, Macy's had a really big breach around then. So cyber is not an unknown topic. It's just something I was never really taught. The extent of my knowledge with cybersecurity was don't talk to strangers online. And I definitely do that today. So please reach out to me on LinkedIn for questions. But I didn't really have STEM classes. I didn't knew nothing about programming. I didn't know any of that. And so one of my tech college prep courses I had in high school was Microsoft Word. There was a point where I had a class that taught us literally how to use Microsoft Word. Now, being a corporate for some time, I really wish they focused more on Excel, but hey, I will take what I can. And then also engineering, we had Lego sets for engineering classes and it was cool. We got to build different Legos. Someone had donated a robot kit. And so we were able to build robots with our Legos and do stuff with that. But again, really not programming, really not doing computer development. And then online math games. I don't know if anyone else had this growing up. We played a lot of coolmath.com games. It's still a website. It's still free. It's really, really fun. I'm not gonna lie, I went on it the other day just to see what it's like, and it's not much has changed, and it's really nostalgic as well. But we use that website for our math and technology games. And then, of course, my quote unquote computer class, that was the computer class, was a keyboard typing class. And I don't know if anyone else remembers this. And this is this is literally the program we used. And it would have like a map up of the keyboard, and you would have to place your fingers in specific rows to learn how to type. And it was to teach kids to not do like the finger peck type on the keyboard. And that was extent to essentially what I knew about technology. And of course, being in a farm town, we had a lot of resources to go into, I would say, trade schools and stuff like that. But being in a STEM field, it really wasn't talked about a whole lot. And so when I went to college, there was some discussions leading up to it. I had my parents who were very involved in the success of my future. So yay, mom and dad. But they were tough love parents. They're farming parents. They were like, if you get bucked off the horse, get back on and get on with life. And they had sat me down. I was 16 years old. So this is my sophomore year of high school. And they said, hey, you need to go figure out what you want to do with your life. I don't know about you, but getting that question asked in your teenage years, that's insane to think about now. I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up, and I can't even imagine what I want to be when I'm 16. And but I see where they were going with. They were trying to really think about my future and where I wanted to go as an adult. So my school, even though we didn't really have a whole lot of STEM resources back then, what they did do is a career fair. And so they brought in different teachers, they brought in people who worked on farms, they brought a person who worked at a bakery. Like they had all of these diverse careers. And there was one that really stood out to me. And it was the state highway patrolman. And I don't know if maybe it's because he had a cool car or something like that, but he was really passionate with what he wanted to do with his life. He was excited, and his excitement and passion absolutely radiated towards me. And I was like, wow, this person is excited to protect their community. I want to do that too and drive a cool sports car. So I went home and I told my parents, I was like, hey, I want to be a highway patrolman. And if you can't really see me or if you haven't met me in person, I'm really short. I'm about 5 feet tall. So me being a state highway patrolman, probably taking down a burly 6 foot dude, it worked out, where I'm at now. But my parents, they said, okay, cool. That's great. How are you going to go do that? I was like, I don't know. And so they're like, well, you need to go figure it out. And I was like, okay. So I went back, went to my school counselor, and she was amazing. And she's like, well, you can go through the police academy. You need to be 21 to do that, but you should really think about college. Nobody can take away your education. Go to college, get a degree and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, okay. So I went home all excited. I was like, guys, I'm going to go to college. And they're like, cool. How are you going to do that? And I was like, are you serious? So went back to school, asked my counselor, and that's kind of where I settled on UCM. It was far enough away from my home that it wasn't a convenience for my parents to visit me all the time, but it's close enough I needed to do laundry. And then it was affordable as well. And plus, because I was going through the criminal justice program, UCM had a fantastic criminal justice program at that time. They still do, actually. And so I took the ACT, which is a standardized test here in the States, and I got the bare minimum score, went to university. In fact, I was 17, so this was the beginning of my senior year. I had taken the ACT. I got accepted into college, and I went to my counselor, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited!" And she goes, you can graduate." I was like, "That's a thing? I can just like leave school?" And she goes, "Yeah, you can." She goes, "State of Missouri, you're 17, you can leave." And so I signed the paperwork. I was ready to go. In fact, I I even reached out to one of the band kids at UCM because I was on a music scholarship to play my oboe, and they were looking for a roommate. So I found, a place to stay, and I went back home and I told my parents, I'm like, "Hey, I got accepted into college," and they're like, "Oh, that's really good." And I was like, "Yeah." I also graduated high school. And they're like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm graduated high school. I'm gonna be moving out in 3 weeks." And of course, they're like, "What?" So it was a lot of mixed emotions, but it was really, really exciting. And it was super scary because I literally packed my entire life in the trunk of my Mazda 3, and I was moving out at 17. That is a lot. I had no idea how to figure out classes. I had no idea who I was as a person. I still didn't understand how to do my own laundry at that point. Like, these are things I'm still learning. I burn a lot of food, but we made it out.